Welcome to the School of September series, presented by the Western Huntsman Podcast. The Western Huntsman Podcast is proud to present the School of September series, a series all about elk hunting in September, archery, bugling, calling, packing, hiking, backcountry, giveaways, all of it. We're going to have some of the best experts in the industry on this show. My name is Jim Huntsman. Buckle up. Here we go. Class is in session. So it's September of 2019. I'd gone to this really good spot that I'd scouted, and I'd seen a lot of elk up in this area. And it's this drainage that you walk up, and the drainage kind of forks about, I don't know, maybe like a mile up the drainage. It forks into two separate drainages, and what separates them is like this finger ridge. And I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll head up this finger ridge. Because of the thermals and the way the wind was going, it would make sense to stay on top of that finger ridge, and I could call into both drainages. I get up there, and another half a mile. It's probably 500 feet elevation gain at this point. And I start bugling. I throw out a locator bugle. Didn't get anything back. I go another few hundred yards and send off another locator bugle. Bam! This bull on the north drainage answers me. He bugles and he starts chuckling. And I went back and forth with this bull. He's a good 500 yards away on the other side of the drainage, on the north-facing slope of the drainage. So I would have had to gone down the south side into the bottom of the drainage and back up several hundred feet in order to close the distance there. The problem with that is the thermals were not going to cooperate. It's kind of a cloudy, overcast day. And, in most cases, you don't want to just kind of drop right down and go directly at this elk. I didn't want to be below him either at this point. And again, that's only because of thermals. So I kept going up the finger ridge, because if you go all the way to the top, which was about a half a mile, and you can get to the top of where these both drainages kind of intercept at a higher elevation and loop around and come down on the same level as this elk. That's what I wanted to do. So as I'm walking up, it takes me a good hour or so to get to the top of this drainage. And all the while, this elk is over there just throwing out grunts and chuckles like crazy. I'd pissed him off, apparently, and I wasn't really answering him. Every once in a while, I'd throw a little bugle or some chuckles or something like that back at him, right? But mostly, it was just him. So I get to the top, and I make my way through the intersect of this drainage. So I'm staying right on his level. I'd marked where I thought the elk was, where I thought he was. I marked it. And so on my phone, on my online mapping system, moved around and started kind of closing the distance. So where I thought he was kind of a guess. And when I thought that, okay, I'm probably about where this bull is at, maybe, within about 100 yards, I'm like, okay, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to let loose on my bugle tube. And I did. I let off this gnarly old bugle. And no kidding, this bull was not 100 yards. He was about 50 in some thick brush. And he answered back super mad, super irritable, called me every name in the book. Every time I'd make a sound, he'd make a sound, and I started raking a tree. And it's at that point he started raking as well. And I could see the brush he was raking going back and forth, and I could see the tips of his antlers, but I couldn't quite see him. I kind of dropped down a little bit lower, and I'm throwing bugles behind me because I'm solo. I don't have a caller. It's just me. I drop down, hoping I'm going to pull him right out of that brush, and it's going to give me a perfect 25-yard or so shot. And it worked. It was perfect. The bull's chuckling. He's grunting. I'm chuckling. I'm grunting. I'm raking. He's raking. We're ripping loud, nasty bugles at each other. I felt like I could almost smell his breath. He was so close, but he was in such thick cover. Finally, he turns and starts coming my way. Comes out of the brush. He's a very nice 6-point. And I'm pretty excited. This bull, he's not like a trophy elk. Probably somewhere in the range of a 270, 300-inch bull. I would have been stoked to have this bull. I'm not picky. He comes out. The problem and the mistake that I made is when I dropped down a little bit, I allowed myself to actually, what happened is I was no longer hidden in the shadows. The sun was kind of glaring right down on the spot that I dropped into, and I pulled my bow back, and he saw that, and he saw the movement, and he really picked up on me because the sun. I was in the sun. I was no longer in the shade. So 2 mistakes happened here. I exposed myself in the sun, and he saw the movement of me drawing my bow. He turned around, not totally getting out of town, like he wasn't totally spooked, but he was uncomfortable. And he turned around and kind of moseyed back into that thick brush, and then turned and started making his way up the mountain, all the while bugling his head off. He had one of those real, have you ever heard a bull where, when like cats get in a fight and they've got that kind of sound almost, and that's kind of what this bull sounded like. He was so irritable about it. The whole situation pissed him off. And he made his way over the top of the mountain. I'm following behind, trying to catch up and bugle him, trying to draw him back in, to no avail. I didn't get that bull. He disappeared out of my life forever. I tell you this story because I want you to know the mistakes that were made. And something that I want to focus on in terms of calling for you new callers out there listening to this. Don't expose yourself in the sun, and make sure that you're hidden well when you draw your bow. And these are things that I knew, and I still made the mistake. Just something you gotta, when the adrenaline's flowing, try to kind of walk your mind through the checklist of things that you need to be aware of. I've never heard a bull elk like this particular guy I'm talking about. The chuckles were like just insane. And I've never heard a bull elk throw so many chuckles and grunts at me. And what I noticed, if he did start climbing up, if I started chuckling at him, he'd open up again on me. And that was cool. So in this lesson, welcome guys. This is the second installment of the School of September podcast series, presented by the Western Huntsman podcast. So this is just a bonus episode of the normal episodes released by the Western Huntsman podcast, which is my podcast. My name is Jim Huntsman, recording this from the Broken Tine studio in Hayden, Idaho. So glad you guys are tuning in. I've got a hell of a show for you today. You guys are going to love it. I really enjoyed recording it. And this one is with Dirk Durham, a.k.a. the Bugler. And so I'm going to get into that in just a minute. I want to get back real quick to the chuckles and the grunts. And if you listen to the last episode of the School of September where I had the elk nut on, I talked about your kind of basics and the how-tos of learning how to call from a practicing standpoint, and like the basic foundational things that you need to know. And we talk a lot more about that in this upcoming episode. I want to talk and focus on chuckles for just a minute. Chuckles and grunts, I feel, and again, this is kind of a personal opinion, but I've noticed this consistent theme in the woods that where if an elk clams up, there's a bull over there. He's either made a noise or you saw him, but he's not responding. If you pull out chuckles and grunts out of your toolbox and you do them effectively, you can usually get that bull to talk. So that's why I want to talk about it. And also, one thing I noticed is when, like a few years ago, when I wasn't very good at chuckles and grunts, I just didn't really put any focus on it. It didn't work. It's when you can get that real authentic sound, and that's really what separates. Chuckles and grunts are really what separates the men from the boys when it comes to elk calling. And so you really want to get these down, because I found when I became more authentic sounding with them, I got a lot more responses. I was able at that point to get these clammed up bulls to start talking to me. So I want to show you how I learned how to do these, because I talked about last time. Remember, I talked about how I used to. I'm a musician, right? And I used to be in a band, and all the work that I put into learning these instruments. The key is, when you're learning a new guitar lick or something on the drums, is to start slow. Play it super, super slow until you get it down and start getting some muscle memory, and then you start speeding it up when it becomes second nature. Same thing when you're working on your chuckles. There's 3 key elements to a good chuckle or grunt. I'm just going to call them chuckles from here on out. We'll just refer to them as chuckles. And we talk about the difference between chuckles and grunts with Dirk coming up here in just a minute. But I'm just going to refer to them as chuckles. So that there's 3 key aspects. And that is going to be almost like a cow sound, just a mew. And then the deep kind of grunt. And then the breath coming in. And you really need all those. So I'm going to demonstrate it really slow. If you got your bugle tube and you want to play along, try to keep up. I'm going to start really slow, and then I'm going to go really fast. I don't care how funny this sounds. I think it's important. So here we go, guys. Okay, so did you hear all 3 elements? There's a cow sound. I'm going to do it without the tube. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're gonna do those in kind of a progression. Okay, I'm going to speed up as we do this. Here we go. All right, there you go. Practice that. Do it just like that, and you will get proficient doing these chuckles and grunts, okay? I think it's really important. I really do. I hope you guys are spending, if you have never bugled in the September Elkwoods, and you're going to this year, you're planning on it this year, you should commit. Right now it's like mid-May as I'm recording this, okay? You should commit from now until the end of June, 10 minutes per day working on your bugles, working on all your elk vocalizations. The one thing about the chuckles and grunts that we talked about, a lot of people, here's what you don't want it to sound like, by the way, and I wanted to make this point. From a distance, that would sound okay to an elk, and you could probably get a lot of good responses out of that, and that's totally fine. But if you want that authenticity, especially when they're close, I wasn't taking any breaths in between. Did you notice that? There's no like grunt at the end of the cow sound. I'm just calling it a cow sound. And there's no, you couldn't hear anything coming back in. You really want to exaggerate that breath back in, just like that. And it makes it so much more authentic. So the point is, in between each chuckle, you want to take a breath in, and that's how you get that sound. Okay? Each chuckle, you want that breath. One more time. That was without a tube, but that's the concept. Make sure you're. The other thing with that is it'll keep you. It'll make sure you're keeping your breath. You're not going to lose your breath doing it that way because you're getting air. Hopefully that's super helpful, guys. That's how I learned how to chuckle and grunt, and it is a very effective tool to have in your quiver when you're out there in September. It's a very important tool. So make sure you got that down. Okay, going into this next interview is with Dirk Durham, a.k.a. the Bugler. He's a sales and marketing director over at Phelp's Game Calls. He's a world champion elk caller. He has called in more bulls than anybody that, as many as anybody I've known, right? We had the elk nut on. He's a super good elk caller, and he had some really good elk hunting advice and tips on calling and strategies. Well, now we're going to move into what Dirk Durham thinks. And Dirk has got just as many of these high-end stats in terms of elk hunting, and he's somebody that I look at it this way. He's a hell of a lot better than I am, and so I'm going to listen to him. You should too. He's a really good elk hunter, and it just so happens it's his birthday today. And you know what the other cool thing is? What was really cool about having Dirk on this episode is with this whole COVID-19 thing that's been going on lately, he was actually the first guest Idaho opened back up, kind of like a phase 1, phase 2 kind of thing. And we're able to kind of get together in small gatherings, small groups, and all that kind of stuff. So I opened up the studio. Dirk was the first guest since COVID-19 hit, personally and physically in the studio. I think they turn out a lot better that way anyway. And as we're releasing this, the day that I'm releasing this, it's March 21st, I believe. It is Dirk's birthday. So I'll bet you he's never had a featured podcast released on his birthday. So that is a pretty cool thing. So make sure you guys are wishing Dirk a happy birthday. He's super old. I don't know how much time he's got left. He's getting up there age-wise. But lastly, on this episode, we are going to have a big-time a giveaway. We're going to have 2 winners on this. And how you're going to do that is you guys are going to I want you to write in at jim@thewesternhuntsman.com. and send in, tell us your best elk hunting story. It doesn't have to be with Phelp's game call gear, or, it doesn't even have to be September. I'd prefer it be like an archery September hunt. And give us a good story. I'm sick of all the other ways that you could do these giveaways by liking things on Instagram or Facebook and following here and clicking that link and all that kind of stuff. We want to just kind of have some fun with it. And I'll post some of these stories up on our Facebook and Instagram when we get them. But I just want to hear like your best elk hunting story, and it can be super humorous. It could be really creative, educational, something that tells a story that you think other people would enjoy or benefit from, and a good personal experience that you've had in the elk woods. That would be badass. Let's do it that way. So what we're going to have is I've got 2 prizes. The first prize, the first winner, and this is just going to be random drawing. You don't have to be like, the best writer or anything and winning some kind of writing prize. It's just anybody who sends me these, I'm going to put them into my system that files all the names, and it'll draw some winners. And we've got 2 prizes for this, and I want to thank Phelp's Game Calls for providing. They provided the main prize, and then the Bugler, Dirk Durham, at thebuglerbrand.com provided the second one. So the first prize is called the Monster Calling Kit. It's got a Renegade bugle tube, which is Dirk Durham's signature bugle tube, 3 Maverick reeds, which are Dirk Durham's signature reeds from Phelp's Game Calls, 1 Double D external cow call, and a call post. Jeez, man, what the hell? I'm like not talking straight today. External cow call and a call pouch. So you can put all your calls in the pouch, and then the external cow call actually connects to it. So Dirk kind of explains that a little bit better. That's going to be giveaway number 1. Giveaway number 2 is going to be a Bugler hat and a Bugler tumbler. And this thing's pretty cool. It's I thought about just keeping it to myself, but I'll just go ahead and give it away. Maybe I'll throw the pictures up on Facebook and Instagram and stuff so you guys can see what it is. So 2 winners are going to be drawn, and I'm going to give this about, I'll give it till next week, next Friday. Let's see, that is going to put us at Friday the 29th. So you have till Friday the 29th to write in and give me your stories. Looking forward to that. And the last thing I want to just mention real quick is at the Western Huntsman podcast, Jim Huntsman, tracked down the real Doug Flutie, and you are not going to want to miss that episode. Doug Flutie is going to be coming out next week for episode 23 on the Western Huntsman podcast. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. I appreciate all of that. It's been growing like crazy. I really appreciate seeing all that. You guys are awesome. All the show notes are going to have all the links for Phelp's Game Calls, the Bugler brand, and something kind of cool called the Elk Collective that you want to listen to and figure out and learn a little bit more about. So with that, guys, give it up for my boy, Dirk Durham. Happy birthday to Dirk, a.k.a. the Bugler, one of my favorite human beings coming up in this show. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to the second episode installment of the School of September series on the Western Huntsman podcast, if I can get that out right. Today I'm sitting down with one of my favorite hunters and one of my favorite human beings is Dirk Durham, the Bugler, a.k.a., well, I already said it all. What else do you go by, Dirk?
Oh, hey there. Depends on who you ask. My wife? Hey, idiot.
Hey, my wife must know your wife. So
those are terms of endearment.
Yes,
I've heard.
I'm sure that's accurate. So I'm excited you're here, Dirk. One of the cool things about this particular episode is this is going to be like the first episode back after the whole COVID-19 pandemic. And the fact that I'm actually here in person with somebody makes a big difference, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I appreciate you coming all the way up here.
Yeah, not even wearing a mask.
Not even. Well, maybe we better mask up, man. It might mess with the audio.
I'm kind of an anti-masker.
I'm kind of an anti-masker too. I prefer a bandana.
People think you're going to rob them then, though.
I know, right? So, now this is going to be good. We're going to cover all sorts of stuff from very entry-level elk hunting tips and tactics and strategies and some calling. I really want to hammer home on chuckles and grunts, and then just kind of like getting your take on different strategies responding to elk and things like that in the elk woods. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I said, I appreciate it. So let's start with, for anybody that doesn't know Dirk Durham, can you give us an idea where you work, your background, just a real quick, we really covered your background in episode 1 on the Western Huntsman podcast. So, by the way, you guys need to check that out if you haven't, because that'll give you the full story. The Dirk Durham profile. We'll call it that.
Expose, if you will.
Yes. I like it. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Well, I do most of my work from the couch in my underwear.
I'm jealous.
Sometimes the kitchen table, but I usually have pants on at that point.
Yeah, you get dressed for that.
Want to come over for dinner? No. No, so I'm a sales and marketing guy for Phelp's Game Calls. We sell predominantly elk calls. That's our bread and butter. We also make turkey calls. We've got a little bear call, predator call type thing. We got some new predator calls coming out, some waterfowl calls. And even some deer calls coming out. So,
Oh, you got some deer calls coming out. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said nothing. Now people will be saying, "Hey, Jason, when's that deer call coming out?" Not yet. COVID's kind of put us behind the ball on we had some cool stuff to release this year, but it's just put us behind.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it's affecting everybody and everything. Like it's even affected the podcast in a major way. And so in my day job, it's just been an absolute nightmare. But I've been using that. I call it my bear call, but it's actually a fawn call.
Blacktail fawn in distress.
Yeah, blacktail fawn in distress. That's right. I don't remember what it's called. But I've been chasing bears all spring, and I've been using the Phelp's black bat. I want to say for the turkey.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. Is it black bat?
Yeah, the black.
Black bat.
The back wing. There.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever it is, that's a pretty good turkey call. And then obviously, I'm a huge fan of the Jason Phelps pink reed.
Wow, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I never thought you were that kind of guy.
Yeah, I have one right here.
I saw you standing up.
I was.
Well,
standing.
I thought you were. There's a door. So I
didn't. I got to make sure I close the curtain on that thing, man. No, I love the Maverick. And tell us about the Maverick.
Well, if something's wrong, you just need a Maverick. Car won't start? Maverick. Dog ran away? Maverick. Wife left you? Maverick.
It's just a cure-all.
Need to call an ill elk?
Maverick.
That's right.
So the elk on the wall behind us here, the reason why this is called the Broken Time Studio, that was called in with a Maverick.
Yeah, man.
You
blew his horns right off.
I did. See that? I didn't get the hell of an arrow.
Man.
Blew his horns right off. So we are, and also if you guys don't know, Dirk is super humble and doesn't like to talk about himself much, but he is a world champion elk caller, like multiple times over. He is kind of like just been working with Phelps over the last, that's been like a year now, right?
going on a year.
Yeah.
Full time with Phelps. Yeah.
Where-
I've been blowing Phelps full time for a year
Full
now.
time for like, where's he going to take you for dinner on your 1 year anniversary?
I don't know. Better be somewhere good.
It
Or
better
if you're
be.
listening, Jason.
Yeah.
He took me to a pretty fancy place for the wife and I for Christmas dinner. It was a little before Christmas. We went over and had a little meeting and whatnot. And got some stuff for trade shows ready to go. And he took us to this place. I don't remember what it was called. It was in Olympia, Washington, close to where he lives. And we had this steak. I can't remember how big it was. It was like a, I don't know, 36-ounce porterhouse or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't even want to know the price tag. It was ungodly.
Sweet.
But man, it was a good steak.
I'll bet.
It was
I'll bet.
amazing.
Yeah,
I kind of felt bad.
Did he finish that new building they were building over there?
Yes and no. Yeah. So
getting there.
So he's built a new shop, a work facility, and then he's building a new home right next door. So his work facility is pretty good. I think there's some finished work that needs done still, but his house is getting close. Doing siding. Still got to do some finished work on the inside, but they're getting really close. Hopefully he has my bedroom set up, because then I'll come over and maybe stay for a few days and work on stuff.
Is he like the kind of boss that would make you crawl into the crawl space to stop a sewer leak?
He would. He is.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's asked me to do that before.
Gotcha.
No,
Now,
just kidding.
If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, you need to listen to episode 1 of this podcast.
No, actually, he definitely not that kind of boss. He'd probably just go get our friend Charlie Smith to go do it.
Charlie Smith will do it.
Chuck, crawl under there and fix that sewer leak.
I like it. So now, and you're leaving us in North Idaho and going south, man.
I am. I'm a traitor.
Yeah. I don't even know why I still allowed this interview to take place.
It's kind of weird.
Like, I don't let people in Boise come up here. Oh wait, that's a lie. That's a lie. I've had a couple from them. Dang it.
Yeah. Now people are gonna be able to call me an actual potato head.
Yeah. So you're gonna be like a potato farmer down there, man.
So it's funny. Like, the different states have their different little nicknames for the non-resident hunters that come. The guys from Wyoming call anybody from Idaho potato heads. But I'm like, there's not a potato anywhere near North Idaho. Maybe in
the grocery store.
Somebody's garden or something. But
yeah.
We can't even hardly get good Idaho potatoes at the grocery store. I think they send them to Russia or something.
Yeah. All our potatoes up here come from Washington mainly.
Bangladesh even.
Or Bangladesh or Antarctica.
Antarctica? Yeah, probably.
A good potato from there.
So I'm gonna be a potato head, I guess.
Yeah.
Moving to southern Idaho.
That's okay, man. That's okay. Yeah. I'll come and see you down there.
Yeah, you better.
I'm gonna come down there. If you got cold beer, I'll be there for
I'll
sure.
have lots of it. Yeah. They have that down there.
They do. I've been there, and they have internet, running water, cold beer.
Way better than North Idaho.
Oh, you know what? You need to go to Joe's Crab Shack down there, man.
I know where that's at. I've never been in there.
It's good.
Is it?
It's good, and they're not paying me to say that. I promise. It's just we went there.
Brought to you by Joe's Crab Shack. We got the best crabs in Idaho.
I think that Joe's Crab Shack should sponsor this podcast.
Yeah,
and Coors Light.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay,
write that down.
I think that's good.
And Coors Light.
And Coors Light.
Top the Rockies and silver bullets.
All right, let's get into some. You've shot elk before, right?
Couple of them.
You've called in a couple of bulls.
Once or twice.
Yeah. Just so people know. Everybody knows Dirk, but you never know. Maybe somebody just moved back. We were talking about Antarctica, moved back from Antarctica, and this is the first time they're hearing from you.
They've been hunting seals and polar bears. I mean, they wouldn't know.
It's a totally different thing.
You don't bugle in a polar bear. Well, I bet you could.
I actually have a dude coming on that went polar bear hunting and got a polar bear.
Whoa. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. His name's Sean. He's coming on. He'll be, that episode will release in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
So that'll be cool, huh?
That'll be really cool.
Interesting. It was like, he basically had to go to the hospital after for a few days just to recover from how cold it was up there. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to give too much away to that one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, elk hunting, man. You've hunted Colorado, obviously Idaho multiple times, Wyoming.
Yep.
Montana?
Yep.
New Mexico.
This fall.
You're going this fall?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you weren't able to go last year because of the shoulder.
Right.
Yeah.
I should have just went.
Well, maybe.
But I know.
But it's such a, was that a draw tag or is that OTC down there?
It's over the camera? It's a draw. Everything in New Mexico is draw. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's what I thought. But you don't have to have like points or anything.
No, they don't do points. They're kind of like Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's got the same luck. I mean, you put it in, it's just an open draw. So
Have you? What about Arizona? Have you hunted Arizona?
not yet.
Utah?
I have points. I got a bunch of points in Arizona, saving them. I could probably draw a pretty good unit. At this point, though, I'm this far in. I think I'm just gonna wait. Just get one shot. Go for the really good unit, whatever that's gonna be here in a few more years.
That sucks. I'm one of those guys that'll never draw a good tag in Arizona. I got too late in the game.
Oh no! How many points you got?
None. Like if I started right now, I'd be like 80.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's still some pretty good units down there that are, they smoke anything that we're hunting around here, right? I mean, a decent unit down there, you're going to still have an opportunity to chase mature bulls. Maybe not a bunch of 400-inch stuff, but a lot of those top-end units, I don't think they probably have a ton of 400-inch bulls anyway. You have to kind of be realistic, but,
I'm good with a 300-inch.
To have the opportunity to chase some 300-inch bulls around that are, pretty plentiful, that sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that. I don't know. I'm like so confused with the whole point systems and all this stuff with all the different states. It's like I start researching it and I get overwhelmed, and I have a short attention span anyway.
Me too.
So I just kind of give up on it.
Yeah, me too.
Does me no favors, man.
I just kind of rely on my buddies to kind of tell me on how it works.
Yeah.
You should do this or you should do that. Same way. I cannot read through it all and like try to decipher it all. Short attention span. But
but Nevada? Did we
I
say
applied
Nevada?
there once.
Did you?
Yeah. It's a long game there too. You're gonna have to have a lot of points.
Yeah.
And, I think I'm gonna just put my money other places.
What about Oregon and Washington?
Nope. I've hunted Oregon once when I was a resident.
Okay.
Never hunted Washington.
The idea is I'm just trying to give people an idea that like you can call in elk.
Been around the block.
Yeah, you can call in elk, and it doesn't matter if you're hunting in Colorado or North Idaho or South Idaho or Wyoming or Montana. Or Oregon. The principles and what we're going to talk about in this episode are going to apply to Rocky Mountain elk hunting, Roosevelt elk hunting throughout the American West, and that's what we're going to cover.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We'll broad brush it.
And there are nuances to different areas.
Yeah, there are.
There's definitely nuances, but we're gonna kind of focus more on an overview versus nuanced little regional areas. Like you and I both hunt North Idaho a lot, and it's like definitely different than most of the West. Okay, let's talk to brand new elk hunters for a minute. What would you say these brand new elk hunters really need to focus on? And I'm talking about the guys that have never had a reed in their mouth. They've never been, maybe they're from back east, or they're from Boise or Sheridan, Wyoming, have just never gone out.
Yeah, no, not raised in a hunting family or something.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are like that. Guys, and I apologize, guys. I always say guys. When I say that, I am meaning both guys and gals.
Sure.
So
me too.
I got a nasty email that I'm one-sided when I talk like that, so I apologize. So
I'm bad that like that. There could be 4 girls sitting over there. I'm like, hey, you guys want a beer?
Yeah, I'm like that too. I'm like that too.
Should have been ladies or
yes, you ladies over there. We know how to talk to ladies. We're married, right?
That's right.
Yeah, my wife doesn't hunt, so it always kind of evades me a little bit because my wife doesn't hunt, and she's on the board of PETA, and no, I'm totally kidding about
people
that.
eating tasty animals.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So she supports hunting. She just doesn't want to go out and do it. And so, okay, brand new hunter. They've never been out, and they're looking to do some wild and crazy and highly addictive September archery elk hunting. What's kind of your baseline advice to get somebody started?
Well, there's a few questions that have to be answered. First, what kind of experience are you looking for? What do you want to hunt elk with? A bow, a rifle, a muzzleloader?
We're talking archery September for sure.
Archery, yeah. Okay, what kind of hunter are you looking for? Are you wanting to backpack in to the middle of Timbuktu and not see another soul and want the wilderness experience? Do you want to maybe hunt a little more gentle country which I really advise for brand new hunters, maybe hunt some more gentle country. Hunting the roaded gentle country versus hunting backcountry roadless, it's like two different games. It's like ping pong and volleyball, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still hitting the ball over the net, but you play it quite a bit differently.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I always try to encourage, and I know everybody has, I'm myself, I have this picture in my brain of what elk hunting should be, or what you want it to be, right? So you have this little vision inside your head, and it's hard to get that vision out. I mean, so I respect that. But I do say, don't pigeonhole yourself right off the bat. If you're a new hunter, hunting the backcountry is very difficult. It's level 10, where hunting the front country, where there's some roads and a little easier access and stuff, that's level 5. Reason being, everything you got to hunt elk is on your back, or you're carrying in your pockets or whatever, and your lifeline is a satellite communicator, like a inReach or something. Okay, when you're hunting the more front country, you have vehicle access, maybe an ATV.
Sometimes even cell service.
And sometimes even cell service if you're,
you can Facebook while you're out there.
Yeah, and that's really good for the guys that like to take, pretty selfies.
Yeah.
And
sure.
if you didn't have any luck elk hunting, at least you got all those selfies.
I got some shameless selfies last week bear hunting, man.
Yeah? Did you have your shirt off?
No, I haven't.
You're better than that.
I know, but I still got my winter coat, man.
Oh,
I gotta,
me too.
I gotta shed that off first.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, so definitely, I would try to plan your hunt and gear it toward your capabilities. If you're brand new, don't know a darn thing about elk hunting, ready to learn, eager to learn, you have time from today till September to learn how to elk hunt. There's so much information on the internet on how to do different things of elk hunt that are elk hunting related. But set yourself up for success. Try to go to an area that has a high number of elk, maybe a little gentler country. What that usually equals, though, is more hunters. So it's kind of a balance. What do you want? You want ultra difficult, not as many elk? The success is probably going to be a very low percentage versus maybe going over this other side. So just set yourself up for success. That's what I always try to tell people. I learned to hunt elk on the front country. I lived, I don't know, probably 20 miles from some of the most fantastic backcountry elk hunting in the lower 48 back in the 80s. I didn't hunt there. My dad, he didn't want to take me out there. He's like, you can hunt closer to town. Well, there was elk everywhere close to town. So I learned how to hunt those elk. Not a lot of people hunting at that time either. So I cut my teeth on that, learned a ton. Transition to the backcountry, it's a whole different game. That low country, it's gentle. I mean, you can almost run down elk. You get bulls that bugle and run. Well, you can bugle and run with them, most of the day. You get to the backcountry where it's steep and deep and nasty and brushy and lots of terrain. It's pretty difficult to stay with them. You got to learn to play the game differently. A lot more patience involved. So anyway, play to your strengths. Set yourself up with success. Go where there's a lot of elk. Look, I mean, almost, I believe all your fishing game of every state are going to give you statistics of areas that are meeting their elk objectives, harvest statistics, success rates, number of hunters. And that can be kind of deceiving too, because like North Idaho, for instance, there's some units in kind of north central Idaho. I will argue and fist fight just about anybody and say they're the worst elk units in the state. Okay. But on paper, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody hunting, pretty high success rate. But you have to remember, the guys that are getting them are locals that have been there their whole lives, that have grown up in the area. They know where to go. It's huge, vast country where you're committed. You go into one spot, you're committed. It's an all-day thing, if not a few-day trip into this one spot. So it's really hard. You go up in there and waste all that time. There's no elk. You're going to have to pull out and go somewhere else. Well, you've just cost yourself a day, 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, 2 to 3 days.
I know non-resident people have hunted this unit that have hunted for 10 days and didn't see an elk. They might have saw just a few tracks.
I think I know which unit you're talking about.
Yeah, it's tough, and
it is tough.
And I don't hunt it myself. I'm local, and I know the area pretty well. I don't hunt it. It's just
I always throw like the caveat in with what you're talking about with the backcountry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go on your first backcountry hunt where there's wolves. Where if you know there's wolves in there,
Yeah.
because they could totally derail you. Like if you're going week 2 of September, the elk might be totally gone until week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's just
like a backpack hunt.
backcountry. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't backpack hunt North Idaho. There's
Yeah.
no way. There's
No, me
absolutely
neither.
no way.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend a whole day hiking in somewhere only to find there's wolf tracks everywhere, or hasn't been an elk there in a year.
Yeah.
I'm going to stack the odds in my favor, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, and there's, lots of places you can go elk hunting. There's Idaho that's over the counter. You got Colorado that's over the counter. Wyoming, New Mexico, Montana, those are tougher to get tags. I think there's some over the counter stuff in Oregon. There's some over the counter stuff in Washington.
Utah as well.
But they don't seem to have too great a hunting
No.
in like Utah.
The problem is like all spike only kind of units.
It is.
Yeah. So
I think there's some sleeper stuff in Oregon that people aren't talking about. And the
there
guys in
totally
Oregon
is.
they're like, shut up, get up,
they're
shut up.
cussing us out right now.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a sleeper state.
Yeah.
I would like to go over there sometime in the
Their
future.
tags are pricey for non-residents, though.
They
That's
are.
been my hesitation with that one.
They are pretty pricey.
Yeah, for sure. So Colin,
Calling, yeah.
you're like AKA the Bugler, man.
That's right.
I want to talk about that. Let's you know what? Let's kick it off. Let's get the blood and juices flowing.
Okay.
I want to hear some bugles out of the Bugler.
Okay.
He's getting his bugle out right now. You know what's cool? Last time you had to do that one-handed. I see you got both your shoulders back.
I'm not in a sling anymore.
Yeah, looking good, man.
Still works though, right?
All right, here we go. So what is really cool about that, and what's always impressive with the way you do that, like you pull that off with ease. I feel like when I do that, it doesn't sound as good, and I put a lot more effort into it. Where for you, it's second nature. Talk to how it becomes second nature for people before we get into the basics of it.
I think it's just time behind the bugle, especially when you're first learning. These days, I don't really practice. Honestly, I haven't blown that bugle since elk shape camp here 2 or 3 months ago. But it's practice and learning that muscle memory and getting your mouth and your brain and your tongue and your lungs and your diaphragm all to work together. And it for a new caller, that's tough. I mean, like they go to these elk shape camps, a lot of these guys have never had an elk call in their mouth in their life, so they don't know what to do. How hard do you blow? Where do you put it? They put it in backwards. They just don't know, and that's tough. That's really intimidating. A lot of guys will try a little bit and they're like, I can't do it.
Yeah, first gag reflex, they're done.
Right, or maybe my buddy told me this is the best call to use. They try it, can't do it, give up. But a lot of times, what works for your buddy not going to work for you at all. You maybe need to try something a little different. Like I like to say, the Maverick is the best elk diaphragm in the world, which it is, but that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
One of the other calls that we sell at Phelps would probably be more well served.
Yeah, for a beginner,
or even somebody that's experienced caller. You just never can tell. So you have to experiment with, a handful of calls, and it's tough because they're $8 to $10 a piece. You buy, a handful of them, you're about $100. You kind of expect to spend about $100, but it's not that you blow it once and, it's no good anymore. You take care of them, and then as you find one you like, then you practice with it, and then what you'll find is those others that you didn't really like before, you may love them. The one you liked is going to turn to like your number 4, and you find these other ones that sound way better because you start to learn how to make the noises better. So
yeah. I could have sent one of my kids to college with how much money I've spent on reeds.
Oh yeah.
And I actually really liked, before the Maverick came out, I liked is it the Black Amp? That black one.
Yeah, and it's got a red latex.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one,
That's a screamer.
Yeah, it was a screamer for sure, and I really like that one. And like with Phelps, because we're gonna keep this very Phelps focused, obviously, because I'm like a huge Phelps fan, and you obviously kind of like Phelps since you work there.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, as long as Phelps ain't making you go under the basement to fix his sewer problems, you know. And so this is like a very Phelps friendly show, right?
Yeah.
And so give us like the 3 beginner type reads that maybe people should consider. Mm-hmm. And this isn't like a commercial, but I mean, this is obvious stuff. What Phelps reads should a beginner kind of focus on?
So like when we're doing trade shows and we get a lot of folks coming up, and we get a ton of like new callers that have never even tried a note call before. And what I recommend is bare minimum, try to pick up 3 calls, 3 diaphragms. And what you want them to have very different latex. Each one's going to have a different latex than the other one and a different tightness of stretch.
You mean like the thickness of the latex?
The thickness of the latex will be different, and then the stretch of the latex will be different, because you never can call it which one's going to work for that person. So that'll kind of give them a baseline. So if I usually recommend like the black amp. I will recommend a gray amp, and I'll recommend a Maverick, because all 3 are very different.
That was pretty convenient leaving the pink out of there.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a girl, like a 5-year-old girl, I would probably definitely recommend a pink.
I got a 9-year-old. She's wanting to hunt this year.
Yeah, just get her one of those.
Get a pink Phelps?
She'll master it in just hours, probably.
I think you're right. It goes good with her tutu.
But yeah, anyway, then you'll kind of find like, well, one of those is going to be better than the others probably for you. And then start practicing. And I like to say, crawl before you walk. You're not like just pop it out of the package, ripping a big bugle, because especially if you've never used a call before, it's probably going to sound terrible. Probably like you're killing a hog or something.
I sounded terrible. Shit, I still sound terrible.
I had kind of an advantage though. When I first learned how to call, is I had used some turkey calls in the past to call turkeys, and so I knew kind of where to place it. Where I could make the noise and whatever. Complete different sound, of course, but at least I wasn't gagging or tickling or whatever. I kind of knew where to put it and then kind of play from there. But crawl before you walk. Start making noises. Elk type noises. I always kind of try to say, make this mosquito noise.
So like when you say that, let's make a noise. I really want people to get like that, just that high pitched hum.
Yeah, try it.
Like that?
Yeah.
And then drop.
So yeah. So make that mosquito
you do it
noise.
better.
I'll try it.
Okay.
So you want to make that. Try to figure out how to the pressure with your tongue and the pressure of air coming out. It doesn't take a lot of air. Some guys will be like, or folks will be like pushing too hard. They think they have to like put a ton of air out.
You're not blowing a trombone here.
Yeah. This ain't a tuba.
Yeah.
This is just nice, and just let a little bit seep out. So you want to tighten up your tongue enough to where you just let a little bit seep out and try to hit that little note. And then once you can make that note good, then you can relax your tongue a little bit and drop your jaw a little bit to where it just makes that lower tone to where it turns into a cow call.
Yeah. See? Easy as that, guys.
Just as easy as pie.
I mean, if I could do it, anybody can do it.
Now, I will say, going to these camps and going to these trade shows, you talk to a lot of people. And I'd say 1 out of 10 people, maybe 2 out of 10 people, absolutely physically cannot use it because they have a narrow palate.
Mm-hmm.
And the call won't fit. And they can't. They have a heck of a time to even make a noise.
Yeah.
So, which is unfortunate because a lot of them are just like, man, why can't I do this? Until you kind of diagnose it a little bit, and they're like, oh, well, shoot, that's why I can't use these darn things.
Can you cut them narrower for
you can for
like
some people, if they have a slightly narrow palate, you can trim the tape. Mm-hmm. You want to follow that outside line and just cut a little bit off, like a 1/16 of an inch.
Just
maybe.
like pair of scissors.
Pair of scissors.
Okay.
I have a buddy that kind of struggled. It sounded like he had a lot of air escaping around the outside of the reed.
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if he had a shallow palate or a little narrow. I don't know. But what he did is he notched it like you were notching a tag, so a little triangle or a pizza shape at like 2 o'clock.
Oh, interesting.
And at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And he put it in, sealed, sounded great.
No kidding.
So that's like that's a pro tip right there.
That is a pro tip.
Write that down.
For sure. Write it down, folks.
Yeah, write that down.
I like it. Cool. I wanna kind of transition into chuckles and grunts because, and this is for we're still kind of on the beginner topic,
right.
But this will also apply to guys and gals that know what they're doing already and have been out there calling elk for some time.
Right.
I want to set it up under the guise of this is my opinion, and so if I'm wrong, slap me and then correct me. Don't correct me and then slap me though. I don't like that way. Chuckles and grunts, I feel like a lot of times if you're out there and you cannot get a response out of an elk, chuckles and grunts will get them talking. And I talk about this in the intro, but chuckles and grunts are something that, like, one of the best call-ins I ever had. I don't know that I actually bugled at this elk. We just chuckled at each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
Back and forth.
Yep.
Can you kind of walk through how you make a good chuckle sound and what the mechanics of it are on a foundational level so people can really work toward it? Like, you do great chuckles, man. I love listening to you. I can listen to you do that for all day, but walk us through that, the mechanics of it.
Sure.
I'm going to grab us a beer while you start.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it. I'm all in. All in. So first I'll kind of address the difference between chuckles and grunts, in my opinion. And this is how I say chuckles and grunts and differentiate between the two. Some guys will say, well, no, it's this or something, and that's okay. That's how they call it. That's what they call a grunt or a chuckle or whatever. But in my mind, it kind of goes like this. So the chuckles are kind of like a shorter, more choppy, and a quicker cadence type call, whereas a grunt would be like kind of a more long sounding call. Mm-hmm. Your fridge is open.
Oh man! All right, I'll be right back.
Party foul.
Whoops.
So and I'll just demonstrate. It's better just to kind of demonstrate. So here's the chuckles. And then here's the grunts. So definitely a difference.
Big time.
Yeah, and so I always just kind of picture chuckles like, somebody kind of
almost
chuckling
ape
at you,
sounding.
or almost
Yeah.
ape-like.
Yeah.
And the grunts are just kind of long. And elk calling guy will tell you, oh no, it's this, or that's okay. Everybody's tomato, right?
Do you have an opinion on like what maybe either the elk is trying to express, or is it just more of they just they're freaking sounding like an ape right now, but when they get a little bit more angry, they sound like a grunt?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak to like if they're actually speaking in a language or saying a certain thing.
Yeah, I can't figure out if I even have an opinion on that.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
I can't say like Elknut. He's kind of got it broke down, and I can't say he's wrong because the man is a hell of an elk hunter and a hell of an elk caller. Mm-hmm. I can't say he's wrong. I may not, and I don't disagree with him, but maybe I don't agree. But I guess there's kind of like no real wrong way to call it.
It reminds me of,
if you're successful and you call it a certain thing, heck, that's good for you, man.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
and I'm going to take some of his little nuggets and put in my quiver, and anybody else that's a good hunter, I'm going to listen to what they got to say. I'm like, that makes sense. I'll try that. I'm always experimenting with all these different things people say about. Oh, here's the silver bullet of elk hunting. Well, I try those a lot, and it's not always.
Yeah, I don't believe there is one. There's no special sauce.
There's no.
There's
no secret sauce to the elk hunting. I'll tell you what.
That's right.
That's what Doug Flutie tell you.
I think Doug Flutie's right.
And he's drunk too.
Did you know? Did you know I got Doug Flutie on the on the podcast?
Really?
Yeah.
Did you bait him in with some hams or what?
Kind of. Yeah.
Well, let me guess. Let's say, hey Doug, I'll give you a 12-pack of hams and a pack of Marlboro Reds, and I'll have you on the podcast.
It ended up I had to buy him a carton of Marlboro Reds.
He's that way.
But that's it was worth it.
That's Doug.
I think I'm the first person ever, podcaster I should say, to get Doug Flutie on a show.
Man, that's crazy. You should try to get his brother Dick in here with him.
Maybe I will.
His brother Dick's, he's an alcoholic. And you get those two together, look out. Wild card. But anyway, so basically, if you want to break down chuckles and grunts, I like to say they're kind of an exaggerated cow call. So if you can make a cow call, you can chuckle. If you can make a cow call, you can grunt. It's just the cadence in between. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys make the mistake. They'll take one big deep breath and then try to make all their chuckles or grunts with it. And what ends up happening is their cadence gets off, and then also they run out of air towards the end, and it starts sounding weak or wimpy or weird. So in between each chuckle or grunt, you need to take a breath. Mm-hmm. So in, out, in, out, in, out. And what you'll find is it's easier to get that cadence going.
Okay.
Too, so
in another reason why I wanted to really focus on that for a minute is because I think we were just talking about Doug Flutie, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
I think that one of the ways that you could really tell, well, let me put it to you this way. I get this question a lot. How do you know if you're bugling back and forth with an elk or another hunter?
Yeah.
It's chuckles and grunts.
Right.
That's how you will know. Because I can get fooled by a bugle for sure. Now, I think you'd call me in. But I don't think most hunters can.
You don't think Doug Flutie'd call you in?
Maybe, man. It depends on how many hams I had prior to him.
Yeah.
So I want to make that point that, like, you guys, if we're talking about grunts and chuckles, I think that's what's really going to set a lot of elk callers apart.
Right.
And I don't mean with other hunters. I mean with the elk.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that you can sound like a kicked coyote and in terms of a bugle, mm-hmm. and still get reactions and call in elk. But if you screw up your chuckles and grunts, I feel like that's what can really make an elk think, I don't know if that's for real or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think that they think that. I don't think, oh no, that's not an elk. That's another hunter. It's just something's off, right?
Yeah.
And they get uncomfortable. So
mm-hmm. that's
just my opinion.
Yeah. And I feel like, and I've experienced this. Like when my brother and I first started elk hunting, then he was awful. I was okay, and he was awful. He literally sounded like you stomped on a rabbit and then started beating a chihuahua. That's the worst. The worst. It was horrible. But for whatever reason, it would make elk so mad, and they would come. Mm-hmm. So I'm not 100% certain you have to be able to sound just like an elk, like your cookie cutter elk.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you're hunting in a hunting area that's high pressure, got a lot of people out there blowing bugles, got a lot of Doug Fluties, you want to separate yourself from them guys. And authentic sounding calls, that's the best way. And then using some different tactics. And let's say everybody's doing this one thing, you got to do something completely different, and then sound authentic if you want to call and have them come in.
Yeah. I think where I got that opinion was I was actually calling back and forth with a bull, right? And this was last season, and we're kind of across a canyon, and like I'm on like this finger ridge, and behind me there's this other drainage, and another hunter must have heard us and came over, and as soon as that guy started chuckling, or gal, again, that I was chuckling back and forth, right, with the elk, and as soon as this other guy started chuckling, that elk boogied. And I don't know. It was like this real dry, emotionless chuckle, like you were saying, mm-hmm. like meh, 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 like almost like a car horn.
Yeah, and I'm not here to run down any but other manufacturers' calls or anything at all. But Doug Flutie's favorite call, that thing it's hard to show that emotion with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only so many tricks you can pull out of that thing. I broke down and bought one just to play with and experiment with it.
You gonna try it?
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do with it. It's like having a limiter on it. Like I'm gonna dream up this one thing to do, and then you try to do it, and it's like it still comes out the same bugle as you did before.
Mm-hmm.
So
you keep pulling that thing up. Let me hear you chuckle on that thing. This is the Terminator from Primo's.
Yeah. I mean, it's not horrible.
It sounds pretty good, actually.
It's not horrible, but I've been messing with this thing, practicing with it.
Mm-hmm.
I might let the cat out of the bag. Phelps is probably going to yell at me. But we're working on an external mouthpiece for all those guys that just physically cannot use an internal diaphragm.
Yeah.
So we're coming out with an external call. And so I picked up different bugles to see ease of use, variety of calls you can make with it, authenticity and such. And so anyway, I just been messing around with this one, trying to, and I think it sounds pretty good. And I got a buddy, my wife's cousin's husband. He swears by he kills elk every year with one of these.
Oh,
things.
really?
Yeah. So I mean, we can talk crap about Doug Flutie all we want, but he's a legit Doug Flutie, but he loves this thing.
He loves that thing. Yeah.
I got another buddy. He said he likes it because you can really locate because it's loud. Because his diaphragm calls are not very loud. But,
Sure.
But I think when the new Phelps external comes out, there's going to be some mind matter blown out all over the place.
So
the thing's going to be awesome.
Is that thing going to be ready for like this coming season, you think? Or
we were hoping for a release in like July, August, but with this stupid coronavirus,
a little behind schedule.
Yeah, we're going to probably have some prototype stuff for September.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Cool.
You may or may not see. Well, I even had a prototype I took. People,
you showed it to me. I think.
And people are so intuitive. Like on, I hunted with Trent and Steve and Born and Raised Outdoors last year in Wyoming, and we were road bugling on the way to camp, and I had that thing hooked onto my big tube, and I ripped a big bugle, and there was a bunch of comments below the video, like, what is that? What is that? That tube? What's that?
I know, it's crazy what people pick up on.
Yeah, and I had several messages. Hey, what was that thing you were using? So people are very in tune to I think a lot of people want to get better at elk calling or just get into it. So anyway,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. So, no, that's awesome. Can you, getting back to the chuckle part?
Yeah.
That triggered another question, but I'm going to try to remember. Remind me to ask you in like 5 minutes, okay? All right.
My memory is about as long as my pinky toe.
I don't have a memory problem. I have an attention span problem, and it clogs my memory.
Well, both of them are bad for me.
So, I remember things, I think.
I'm like the clownfish, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Going back to the mechanics of a good chuckle.
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate slowly how it should sound, and then start speeding it up?
Yeah.
Because you're really good you have a video.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to just slow it down. So remember, exaggerated cow call, and just do one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I did one, and then do another one, and then do another one. You just get your mind wrapped around. It's like, okay, we're going to make more than one of these, and then don't worry about like how long in between. Just however long it takes in between to make one, and then another good one, and then another good one. And then as you start getting better at it, then you pick up the pace. It's almost like the old choo-choo train. Until you find that right tempo. So
yeah. I like how you end that too. Like that. I don't even know how you do that.
I don't even know how to do it.
I can't even explain to the audience how you do that, because it's so authentic sounding too. Anyway, okay, let me try that.
Okay.
I'm using the Renegade too. Are you going to sign my bugle too?
Do I have to?
Yeah, I want like the bugler.
Now you're starting to
autograph
embarrass me.
I know. Well, you should be. I want a damn autograph on this thing.
Okay, fine.
So, kind of what you were doing.
I've got my own pen. No, thought you'd never ask.
I already had you sign the men's room wall in there.
I should have wrote a little poem in there.
You should have.
Yeah. The day is young.
We got time, man. We got time, brother. All right, I want to try that because I'm not nearly as good at this as you are. So I want to see if like maybe the way I sound versus the way you sound might help somebody else too.
Okay.
All right, Phelp. You're starting slow.
That was good.
Critique me.
That was really good. Yeah.
No, that's not critiquing. That's
no. You started out slow. You made a perfect one, then you made another perfect one, and then as it goes, it kind of morphs a little bit. Like you kind of shorten it a little bit, and it's like you're kind of like sounding like, okay, this is how I'm doing it. Okay, I'm gonna tweak a little bit, and then once you get it kind of tweaked, then you kind of change your pace a little bit until you're just doing it. And yeah, that was good.
What can you do the sound like without the reed in your mouth? What is that punch that you're putting into the bugle? I feel like yours is a lot stronger than mine.
Yeah, it's like a punch to the gut. It's like somebody like somebody.
So you're actually
yeah. Like
okay.
If you were to picture somebody's like walk around like you're not expecting that somebody punch you in the gut.
I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
With how it sounds.
Oh yeah. Like it gives you more bass for sure.
Yeah.
Now I sound like a silverback.
No, but there's a good point to that, because one thing I want to demonstrate when I was hunting with this guy that you don't want to sound, it's something seriously missing without that, and I'll kind of demonstrate that. If not, I hear so many people that sound like that.
Yeah.
And that is, you might fool an elk with that, but I think it's important to get that punch in there. So anyway, we don't need to spend too much time on. Let me throw my bugle back over here. All right, let's shift gears here and talk some strategy now. Calling an elk and responding to elk. I put that in the notes here because I want to give people kind of an idea of what your process is. Let's say you're out doing some locator bugles, right?
Right.
Running ridge, whatever. And then you get a response, and it's just maybe not a super aggressive response. It's just an elk kind of letting you know, yeah, I'm over here. I heard you, kind of thing. Almost the same speed that you bugled your locator bugle.
Right.
What do you do?
Depends. So if he sounds kind of like, I'll give you a demonstration.
I appreciate that.
If it kind of sounds like this, it's kind of a wimpy, half-assed bugle. I may or may not chase after that one. Depending. If it's first thing in the morning and I've really got this one spot I want to get to, I may say, okay, we're putting you in the bank. I know you're there. And he's half-assed. He's probably not going to be covering a bunch of country. So I'm coming back to that one. If I haven't heard an elk bugle for a day, and I've had really slim pickings, okay, we got one that's bugling. Man, he sounds good.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. They all get prettier at closing time.
Yeah, exactly.
So many bar scene analogies in this elk calling, right? So
makes for great podcasting.
It does. Everybody can relate. Not that I'm a big bar goer, but everybody kind of knows.
Nobody's a big bar goer with coronavirus going on.
Dang coronavirus.
I think I'm going to go to the bar just to spite coronavirus.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll go shut her down.
Heading to Athol.
We'll go to Athol. Yeah, I like it. You're pretty much on the border of Hayden and Athol, sitting right here.
Yeah.
Like if you go on that side of my yard, the weather app will pick up Athol.
Oh.
But if you're in the front yard, it picks up Hayden.
Oh.
So it just depends. So, interesting little tidbit.
Nice
you
little
didn't know.
Factoid.
See, the mailbox is on the Hayden side, so that's why my Hayden address.
I see.
Okay, anyway. See, we get off track too easy.
Know, right?
Yeah. By the way, if you see a Tom turkey walking behind me, let me know. That's why the shotgun's in here.
Okay.
All right. That's about the only way I'm going to get him this year, I think. Okay, so you hear that little wimpy response, and he comes back at you, and if you decide to go after him, how aggressive are you going to get with that bull?
So I'm going to slow play that guy. I'm not going to start hitting him with challenge bugles or big, mean, nasty bugles or even aggressive bugles. What I'm going to do is start, okay, where is he at? Figure out what the wind is doing right now. Figure what's going to be doing in an hour or 2 hours from now, because we're going to have to slow play this thing. He's obviously not fired up, right? So I like to check the bull's temperature, as I call it. Where's his level of aggression? He sounds like he's not aggressive. He's just saying, "Hey man, I'm over here. I'm an elk." Then I'm not going to go start walking all over him with my calls. What I'm going to do is position myself to where it's easy for him to come, if I can, and then I'm going to ease into it, give him a few cow calls, give him another bugle. I'm going to start bugling. I'm going to start speaking his language. I'm going to start talking like him, a little copycat. Like, so if he sounds goofy and crappy, I'm going to sound goofy and crappy but it's going to be this little like copycat game to where finally he kind of gets pissed. Like, hey man, quit copying me over there. Back to the bar room. Or playground. Everybody, when you're a kid, there's always the bully, right? And just picking at people, right? Whether it's the bar or the playground. And that one kid just keeps on picking at somebody until they get the reaction. You get that kid, the other kid or the other man to get pissed. Same with elk. You just keep picking at them. Finally, they're either going to leave or going to get pissed. But if you don't force it too much, if you like kind of slow play it, a lot of times those things it'll slowly build up and they'll get mad before they know they're going to get mad. And then you can hear it change in their bugle. They'll have a more aggressive kind of bugle. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm breaking through.
Gotcha.
This is going to happen. So I want to appeal to his urges to fight rather than to breed. All bulls want to breed, but a lot of times they'll come in kind of shy or kind of, I got to check this out. I hear a cow over there. She sounds pretty hot, but I'm going to sneak over there, sniff around. I've been fooled before by this cow sound.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this before.
Yeah.
So, you're more interested in pissing that bull off.
They let their guard down. When they get mad, everybody does, right?
Yep.
Tom Cruise and what's his name? Jack Nichols.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't handle the truth, right? He badgered him until he pissed him off so bad. And then it's like, oh, too late. You said too much. That's what we're trying to do with these elk, right? We want to pick at them until they finally get mad and come down. They let their guard down. They don't. A lot of times when you get them so pissed off, they're not too worried about circling and trying to get the wind on you. They're coming in to whip your ass. You can see it, fire in their eyes. Here they come. They're on a straight line right to you. So you have to kind of set up in relation to that. It's like, well, I don't want him to come right straight to me. As he's coming, the last little bit, it's like, okay, I'm going to tiptoe over here 10 yards or whatever. So I've got a little bit of an angle. That way I got a nice broadside shot.
Okay. So that, and what about, okay, let's do another scenario here. Okay. You're locating, let one off, and about, let's say 200 yards away, you get an answer back, but it's more of a much more aggressive bugle, right? He's 200 yards away. He hears your locator, and you can tell he's pretty agitated. How do you play that bull?
I'm like, oh, let's go. We gotta go.
Excited?
Yeah, we got to
go. Go to close the distance.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going halfway to him. If he's 200 yards, I'm going halfway, 100 yards.
Okay.
And not without making another call. I'm beating feet straight to him.
Wait. Without making another call?
If he's 200 yards away, I heard him bugle pissed off once, I'm not making any more calls until I get halfway to him.
What if he's 500 yards away?
I'm not going to make any. I'm going to get 3 good bugles out of him till I can pinpoint exactly where he's at. If I can do it in 3, then I'm beating feet most of the way there. I want to get that 100 to 150 yards away from that bull.
Okay.
Almost to the point where it's like, oh man, I'm gonna bump this stupid thing. You want to have that kind of feeling. It's like, okay, stop at that spot. Within mind, you're figuring out the wind, you're figuring out terrain. You want it to be easy for him to come to you if possible. You want to have the wind advantage, whether you're on a crosswind or if you're got a good steady downwind that's not going to change for a while. You want to kind of play on that. But I'm going to get close. I'm going to get close to him, and then we're going to start this game over with. I want him to be like, hey, whoa, there's an elk right there. Now let's see how tough you are.
You want to get right up in his shit.
Yeah.
Have him, yeah.
But I'm not probably at that point. I'm not going to just jump all over him. I'm going to give him a couple cow calls. I'm going to let him think, oh, hey, ladies, how you doing? And whenever he opens his big fat mouth to bugle at him, then I'm going to hit him with everything I got.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to call him every name in the book, insult everybody in his family, and cut him off. I'll even cut him off. I won't let his bugle end. I'll just be right on top of him.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Were you done with that part?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, because you brought it up in a couple of different ways, and you're talking about mimicking the bull. And we're like within a couple 100 yards or 100 yards even of a bull, and you've closed the distance. You can't go any further, but you know he's coming in. And talk about the cutting him off. Like, if I bugle, will you cut me off so we can like hear it in like real time?
Yeah.
Let's try that. Okay, I'll be. Where'd my bugle go? Oh, there it is. I'll be the pissed off bull. Okay. All right, and you're the hunter.
Okay. You're just gonna open your mouth, and I'm gonna bugle right over the top of you.
Gotcha. I hope they heard that. That sounded pretty cool. I hope that come across right. Yeah. So you just came right over the top, and it's like, shut your mouth, boy.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Yeah, shut your mouth when you're talking to me. So that really irritates him.
It makes him mad. But you got to do it at the right point. Whether maybe you've been doing the slow play for a while and it's finally escalated to the point, and you can tell when it's time.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's going to sound pissed off. Mm-hmm. It's none of this like, do-do-do-do-do-do. He's going to sound, you're really like, whoa, he's mad.
Yeah.
And then that's when you just let him have it.
I like it.
And then with the whole girlfriend, he's talking to my girlfriend thing, and you hammer him with it. That's like, hey, you shut up, don't talk to my girlfriend. And obviously there's probably a good reason why you're so defensive, is maybe because she's close to being, in heat. Mm. So he's going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to come over there and whoop your ass.
Okay.
And a lot of times, like on the 200-yard elk or the 500-yard elk, they answered you once or twice, 3 times or whatever, and then you shut up and go to them. A lot of times they'll continue to bugle. They're like, where's he at? Well, they want to know.
They want to know if you're getting closer or further away.
Yeah. Sometimes bulls will clam up on you. Mm-hmm. You didn't do nothing wrong, but sometimes them things will clam up on you. Best thing you can do is just shut up for a while. If he won't answer, you give him some really good calls that should trigger a bugle out of him, and he won't go.
That's interesting.
And he's not that, and he's a couple 100 yards away. I'll just shut up.
That's super interesting.
Because that gets under their skin. It's like, wait, where's he at?
Yeah.
Is he coming? Is he coming? He flipped the script on him. Is he coming in on me now? And then finally they'll break the silence and they're like, oh, okay, I know right where he's at.
Why I say that's interesting is because that happened to me last year, man, and I didn't put it together like that. I thought the bull, because he kind of clammed up on me. Mm-hmm. And so I kept bugling and chuckling, and he just wouldn't respond. Yep. So I'm like, okay, hell with it. I walked another 100 yards, sat down, and started having lunch. Half an hour goes by. All of a sudden, he starts chuckling, and then he throws out this big, mean old bugle. I got a mouthful of Mountain House or something going on. I'm like, oh, shit, man.
My reed's going to be full of food.
But luckily, the Maverick reed is personally warranted by the bugler no matter what you're having with it. Like, I can drink beer and put the bugle in my mouth, and it'll be fine.
You can bugle underwater with it.
You can, yeah.
It's money back guaranteed. If you shoot something smaller than a 6-point, Phelps will give your money back.
Really? Yeah, that's awesome.
No, not
Is
really.
that in writing?
He's going to get so many emails. This thing's a piece of junk. I didn't get a 6-point.
Don't do that, guys. Don't piss him off. I'm trying to get Jason on the show, too. Actually, he agreed. He's coming on, too, for school September.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good.
It'll be sweet. I'm waiting for the pandemic to lift a little. He's in a little worse area than we are, so waiting for that one to move on. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so you just give him a minute, and sometimes they'll just start bugling.
And I'll
back
let him he'll start bugling, and I'm like, tough it out. I'm not going to bugle at him now. I'm going to clam up. I'm going to stay clammed up on him.
So you
I'm going to
be the choice.
Yeah. I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to start working my way to him, and at that point I'm being quiet because he knows you're coming, or he thinks you're coming. That's why he's like getting nervous, like bugling all the time. He's like, where's he at? Where you at, sucker? Mm-hmm. And so I start moving my way towards him with nothing. And then at the right time, which let's say, okay, I got a perfect shooting lane, 1 or 2. If you got 5 shooting lanes, you're in the wrong spot.
Okay.
You got 1 or 2 sketchy ass shooting lanes. Guess what? That's where you need to be, because he's going to have to come in super close. He's going to have to be really close to see you. And just so happens it's at 12 yards or 8 yards or 5 yards, and it's one little shooting lane. It's like, oh, too late, sucker. Wham.
Yeah. You've brought up something a few times too here, talking about like wind and thermals, and I like to get, I especially for school September, I like to get everybody's take and advice on not so much wind. We all know wind, but thermals. Understanding thermals, working thermals, using them to your advantage.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
So wind is a tricky thing. I've hunted places where you have good thermals, like middle of the day, you got like at 8:30, 9 o'clock. As soon as that sun hits that hillside, boom, the air is rising because that hillside's heating up and warm air rises. So you have good thermals pushing up. You have those until the shadows hit it in the evening. I've hunted places to where it don't matter what time of day, you can't call it. Like last year, I had this spot. There was this bull bugling across this river, and I would bugle at him. I think we bugled at that thing like 3 different mornings, a couple different evenings, 3 different mornings. I mean,
was this on the videos?
Yeah,
the video series?
Yeah. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm like, I know right where that sucker's at from this high point. We get all the way over there, and the wind would just be stupid. Like first thing in the morning, right? So all the cool air, stereotypically is settling. It's going to the valley floor. Okay. We'd go over there in the morning. The wind would be blowing straight up to him. That's frustrating. So
that is frustrating. That's a problem with thermals. Like there's a concept that's basic, and then there's what they actually do in like reality, and sometimes they don't jive.
Yeah. 60% of the time, it does it every time.
Yeah, right? Exactly, man.
So we backed out on that bull, I think 3 or 4 different times, and he sounded good. Like I think he was probably a big bull. He sounded really good in a really gnarly place, hard to get. Nobody had been hunting it, but we could never get a good wind, and I didn't want to just go up there and just do a bunch of hiking and just blow him out. There was not a really good access point to where we could just get that angle on him. Like, nope, that's fine. We'd be there at daylight. I'm like, nope, it ain't working out. Let's come back at a different time. And come back at a different time. Nope. So we never could put the wind together on it, and I didn't just want to go educate him. Kind of trying to keep that one in the bank for that perfect wind day. Yeah. Which you can get. And it was a weird year with lots of rain and overcast. Had we had clear weather, might have been a completely different story. So sure. So that, and there you go again, your thermals. In theory, warm air rises, cool air settles, but when you have a big puffy clouds, those great big ones, they're blowing over, and you got warm hillsides, and then you get to have a big giant cloud go over. All of a sudden, the ground cools. Now your thermal winds are blowing every which way, or complete opposite, because it's just immediate cooling, just a few degrees, and now it's messing up your winds. So that midday, I talk a lot about midday madness.
Yeah, midday madness.
Midday madness.
I stole that phrase from you, man. That's where I got that.
Yeah.
Midday madness.
You have to say it like the guy on the monster truck commercial.
You're a lot better at it than I.
Well, you got that fancy little thing where you can.
I know. I totally
turn
get
it up. Midday madness.
Wait. Do it again.
Midday madness. Sunday.
Did you hear the echo?
It did. So anyway, the winds are going to be a certain way until they're not.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's actually pretty good advice.
Yeah. So some of the best wind country that I've hunted is usually pretty steep. Let's say it's a really big drainage that's pretty steep and super deep, because then you don't have a lot of little finger ridges and a lot of little contours. If you can hunt somewhere like that, a lot of times it's a little more conducive to better wind. Whereas if you're hunting kind of rolling country or broken country, man, it's tough, because every time you walk a little bit, we walk 100 yards, it's got another finger sucking wind downhill, or you got a little finger that's coming up, and there's some heat on that ridge blowing over the top. So it's tough.
Gosh, yeah, it is super complicated, but I just like to get everybody's take on that.
Yeah.
All right, how about I hit you with like a lightning round of questions?
Let's do it.
I'm doing this. I'm trying to focus on being better at the lightning round of questions here. So,
are you gonna have a lightning bolt sound effect come in?
No, I don't know how to do that, man. I know it's on here, but I can do this where okay, let's turn that button up. Question number 1. That sounded pretty good, right?
That sounded really good.
Right? Okay. Full moon. Give us your take on the full moon. Hunting during September full moon.
Where am I hunting?
Idaho.
What's the weather?
Well, it's Idaho,
We're at
man.
Idaho.
Give it 5 minutes.
South Idaho, North Idaho.
North Idaho.
Okay.
Wait. Go to Wyoming. I talk about Idaho way too much.
Okay,
Go to Wyoming.
Okay. Full moon wherever you're at is going to be trickier than just a regular not very much moon. Reason being, elk have a lot more light at nighttime, so they can go feed. They can go rut around with a lot more ease. They can't see perfectly in the dark, right? They do need a little bit of light. And if they have a full moon, they can see and they can run around and they can rut at night. And so they spend a lot of time on their feet at nighttime in a full moon, rutting around and feeding and goofing off, to where when the daylight comes, they're ready to go to bed. So I've seen it a few different ways. Wyoming, Montana, especially if it's hot. If it's hot, dry and it's not cooling off at night, full moon, daytime activity is a lot less. Afternoons can be really good, from 2 o'clock on maybe, or even at noons. That 12 o'clock hour, 12 to 1, midday madness.
Wait. Say it again.
Midday madness.
I think that old Broken Times up there, it was like 11:45 when I whacked in.
Oh, it's just like magic time.
Yeah.
But so, especially on a full moon, it's my theory or belief that they go to bed pretty early in the morning. So sometimes they're in their beds at daylight to 8 or 9 o'clock, depending on where they're at, what they're doing. But by noon, the earlier they go to bed, by noon, those bulls are kind of getting a little bit antsy, right? They've been sitting around. They're surrounded by girls. They're like, oh, my God, what do I do? I'm going to go rub my antlers on something. Go splash in a puddle or, But the girls, they're fine. They're not going nowhere. It's the middle of the day. They're sleeping. They're not getting up. They might get up and feed around their bed a little bit if there's food. But they don't want to get out in the sun. They want to stay where it's cool. So if you're close by and can get close to their bedding area, then chances are you can call that bull away and herd bulls away, because he's like, these girls aren't going anywhere. I'm going to go over here and whip that guy's ass and take his girlfriend.
And this is why you call it midday madness.
Right? Because it can be insane. I've been standing on a hillside in 80-degree weather in the middle of the day and have bulls come ripping in.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people they really focus on that early morning, dusk and dawn, and those times, and obviously they're good times,
right?
But I feel like I've gotten a lot more action at like midday, like what you're talking about.
Yeah, but hunting front country now that's back country. For hunting the front country, for me in the past has always been that first couple hours of light, the first 2 or 3 hours of light, and then they go bed down. And then a lot of times it's just the winds aren't right, or I haven't had much luck calling them out of their beds in the middle of the day in some of that front country.
Define what back country means to you.
Roadless
areas.
Yeah.
So a mile away from a road, 5 miles away from a road. So any of those.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Any of the above. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it's not like been logged where there's every quarter mile there's a road cutting across the hillside where they've skidded logs and stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of that up here.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, So that's what I call the front country.
All right. Question 2. Favorite week in September to hunt?
Depends on where I'm at.
Let's say this time Colorado.
Well, the one time I've ever hunted Colorado was opening week, and it was hot. And bulls, I don't think were fired up like they would have been the next week. It was kind of warm. It was kind of a bright moon, I think, and it was early. So we found pockets of bulls that would play, but I think in a week, I think we'd have heard a lot more action, just being a little bit further. We'd found a lot of places where the bulls had just left their little bull sanctuaries. That's where, after the bulls are in their bachelor groups in the summer, here's how I see it. And Chris Rose probably going to tell me you're an idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about. But But we know how Chris Rowe is.
Are you going to get him back?
I got to get him. He that guy squats when he pees. I think
he come at you when I had him on. Yeah,
he came at me like a spider monkey. So I owe him. I love Chris. But anyway, and he's a biologist. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
But in my mind, these elk get out of their bachelor groups and they go kind of to their little spot where it's a bull by himself. He's not bedding with a bunch of other bulls or a bunch of other elk. He kind of hangs out there for a while, gets all worked up for the rut, and then splits.
Okay.
So I found a lot of places where that had happened when we were in Colorado, and those things were still kind of wandering around. We hadn't kind of caught up to where they were going to, a lot of them. There was a few places where we kind of caught up with them, and they hadn't really herded up too much with cows, so they were pretty callable. But I think it had a week later, we'd have had a lot more bugling action.
So what about Idaho? Because you obviously have a lot of experience in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Like if let's say that we have some guy in Alabama, right, or Michigan, and he's coming to Idaho to hunt.
Yeah.
What in archery, September, obviously. What week would you tell that individual?
I think the further north you go, the later in the month of September you want to go. The further south you want to go, the earlier in the month you want to go.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I'm no biologist, but I play one on TV. but my thoughts are the further north, and this is probably completely whack. Yeah. I don't know. This is just my theory. The further north you go, I think the winters are harder. The cows don't want to drop calves early spring. They want to maybe drop them a little bit later spring. Fish and Game is probably going to tell me that the elk all breed and the peak of the rut is this day and yada yada yada. But I don't know. But then again, I have friends that hunt early North Idaho and kill bulls, and I just never have no luck early.
Yeah, I knew a couple guys last year up here in the Panhandle. They tagged out that first week, but I didn't hear shit the first week.
Yeah.
So
it seems like that opening weekend, there's kind of a little bit of a flurry of bugles, and then they kind of quiet down for quite a while.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Where further south that I've hunted early, Labor Day weekend's been good, really good.
Okay.
So
cool.
I guess the best answer is whatever time you can get off from work, you come, do it, and there's,
Yeah.
like lemonade.
That's great. That's a great point. Great piece of advice. If one thing works better than the other, just do it.
If you defeat yourself in your mind before it's like, oh man, it's going to be a crappy hunt. It's the middle of full moon, or it's not the right week, or whatever. I think a lot of people get kind of tied up into that too. But don't defeat yourself before you ever leave home. It's like, well, I got these things against me, but I don't care. We're going to go have fun. We're going to go find some elk, and we're going to go hunting and just try. And you try hard. I feel like if you feel defeated before you leave, you may not try as hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, there's no use. I've already got all these odds stacked against me. I guess I don't. I'm not going to try very hard. I've got friends like that.
Yeah.
But instead, you should be like, yeah, we'll figure it out. There's a bull that wants to fight or wants to play. Mm-hmm. With that mentality, then usually, you can get into them.
For sure. No, that's a good answer. Are we ready for the crazy voice again? Question 3. No, I forgot my question.
You're such a nerd. I love it. I'm the same way. I cannot resist doing that.
When I got this new recording board, I'm not kidding you. I spent all weekend out here playing with all the different buttons and sounds. I could push this button. Now, next up we have Dirk Durham coming on. Oh, then it didn't work. Wait. Okay, I figured it out. I didn't push that.
Yeah.
Next up we got Dirk Durham coming on the show. Hello, Dirk. Pretty fancy, right?
I love it.
I could work for a radio station.
I would be entertained for hours with that stupid thing.
Believe me, man, I was. I'm a simple-minded bastard. Yeah. I was entertained for a long time. So, what were we talking? Question 3.
Yeah.
That's what it was. What about hunting just prior to or just after a hard rain.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really thought that one through.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
That's a $20 question.
I'm kind of like a Larry King of podcasting. Yeah.
Larry King, join us live tonight to talk to Dirk Durham. So, rain shuffles the deck. That Cody Kellum always said. He kind of coined that in my mind. I'd never heard anybody say that before.
I like that phrase.
But,
rain shuffles the deck.
Rain shuffles the deck. So if you're having really good bugling, and then all of a sudden you get a bunch of rain come through, I've had it just completely shut it down. During
the rain or when the rain goes away?
As soon as the rain hits, your bugling's done for 12 to 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I've had it go where it's hot and dry and I can't buy a bugle. Big storm rolls in, bulls are just on fire, bugling everywhere.
Interesting.
But I feel like consistently it's just shuffle. It's a dynamic. It shuffles the deck a bit.
Okay.
And changes the dynamic of the calling. So.
Okay.
But I've or even like snow. Sometimes these northern parts of the states you'll get some snowstorms in September. You don't see it that much anymore. Global warming, I guess.
Well, it's global warming.
It's science, really.
Hillary warned us.
Yeah, I could explain it, but you probably wouldn't understand.
Okay. No, this has been really good information, and I think yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. I know maybe it's a little early to bring it up, and it's up to you whether you want to let this cat out of the bag or not.
That's when you hit the little cat button that goes.
Oh, see, I don't have that button.
You need to research this.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me push the effect button. Let's change up the sound. I'm not sure you want to let the cat out of the bag. Do your meow.
Meow. I don't know.
I don't know either. I just push random buttons. But there's this rumor going around that there's this thing called the Elk Collective coming out. Can you expand on that at all? Can you tickle our curiosity?
What's it called?
The Elk Collective.
I haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard of it?
Okay, maybe I have. Just a little bit.
Man, I got nervous there for a minute.
Kind of went out on a limb.
Shit, man, I'm going to have to edit that
out. Yeah, so the Elk Collective.
Yeah.
We should have named it the Elk Hunting Collective, right?
I don't know. I kind of like the Elk Collective.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue a lot better.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we went that way. So basically, it's a collective of different subject matter experts of elk hunting. And they kind of stay in their lane, whether it's calling or spot and stock or tips and tactics or how to prepare for the hunt, whatever it is. It's going to be everything elk, basically. And it's not going to just be one person's, ideals of what they think, and how they do it. It's going to be me. I'm going to talk about what I do. I'm doing this venture with Dan Staten, Dan the fitness man.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to give you his take on it. Jason Phelps, he's a part of it. He's going to give his take on it. I mean, we all have similarities, but we have some different ideas and tactics.
They'll kind of bring something new to the table or different to the table. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, our little buddy John Gabriel, he's part of it too. Mm-hmm. That's the four of us that are starting this elk collective, and with in mind that it's going to be a collective of individuals. It's not going to be just us four, though. We're not saying we know everything about elk. I can kind of speak to what I'm good at, but there's a lot of people who are probably quite a bit better at it than I am. I want to hear the way they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reach out to those kind of people and have them on and kind of tell all about it. And this is going to be, we're not going to bore you with, 150,000 written words. This is going to be video content. This is going to be audio content. That way you can listen on the go.
Mm-hmm.
Driving across America, working at work,
Yeah.
The old boss man doesn't know you're not listening to Five Finger Death Punch. You're listening to
Don't worry about your boss. Listen to the Elk Collective. And obviously the Western Huntsman podcast is going to be the main provider of sound effects.
Yeah, the best sound effects.
The best sound effect, man, you'll ever find.
Yeah, I love it. So, anyway, we're going to tentatively launch that July 1st, I think.
July 1st. And what is this going to be like? People can purchase membership
Yeah,
for a
so
monthly
it's
thing?
It's going to be a yearly subscription. Type thing.
Yearly subscription.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, so content 2020 is going to be completely different than content 2021. So every year that we go hunting and our collection of other elk hunters that are going to contribute, it'll be ever evolving. So what you learned this year, great. Next year there's going to be a whole new bunch of stuff, and we're going to have videos rich in illustrations and how we do it. So anyway, it's pretty exciting. It's a pretty cool thing. We've been working pretty hard on this for the last few months, putting this together. So
and you guys heard it here first at the Western Huntsman podcast, the Elk Collective. I'm pretty excited about it, man.
Me too. I'm probably in trouble for saying anything, but
you are. I just I
didn't clear that with my partners.
The cool thing is I'm not in trouble.
Yeah, don't kill the messenger.
So that with that, like right now, I know that there is an Instagram, the Elk Collective, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that people can look at this point?
Yeah, so we have an Instagram account, the Elk Collective, the Elk Collective. There's some crappy band that has the same name.
I'm looking this up right now.
I think it's the _Elk _Collective, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's some crappy band that has the same name that has an Instagram account.
Oh, that's the _Elk _Collective.
Yeah. And then
that's Instagram, guys.
Yep. And we have Facebook too. The Elk Collective.
I didn't know you were on Facebook too.
Yeah.
With that.
And there's that same crappy band.
Is it still with the underscores?
No, you can't use that on Facebook.
Elk Collective. I'm going to find it here. My service out here sucks because of the metal roof up above, so it takes a minute. The Elk Collective.
That and the tinfoil hat you're wearing.
Well, there's that. There's always that. Oh, I see what you're talking about. This weird band, the post-hardcore band. Oh, they're from Australia, even.
Oh man,
They
don't even know what an elk is.
They don't. Yeah, they don't have elk there. What the hell? What kind of name is that? All right, so I found you on Facebook, the Elk Collective. You know what? I'll link all this in the show notes.
Yeah,
too.
Cool.
So you guys can find the Elk Collective, and go to the Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or anything.
No.
But the website won't be live until like July. You're thinking.
So if you can go to, I think it's theelkcollective.com. Did you look on the Instagram? Let me look.
No.
There's a link.
I can go there.
God, I'm such a terrible dummy. Yeah, it's theelkcollective.com. www.theelkcollective.com. You can go and there's a landing page and you can go there and sign up with your email to keep track of what's going on. You'll get a notification when we kind of launch.
I didn't know
and then
that.
there's actual questions like, what do you want to learn about? What do you want to know? So we want people to let us know we think we know what people want to know, but until somebody actually says, no, I need to know more about X, then you can do that.
Oh, yeah, check it out. Dropping Summer 20. Sign up to get informed. I just put all my info in there. Idaho. What are you interested in learning? Nutrition and weight loss. Do I look like
a fat joke?
No, I'm just kidding. Is that a fat joke? What?
Is there a camera on that computer?
Are you fat shaming me? Like, what the hell?
It's interactive.
I like all
they
this
call that
stuff.
interactive.
It's interactive. Oh, it only lets you choose one?
Oh, you can choose more than one, I think.
Yeah, now it is. Let's do that. I'll do. I need it. I need nutrition.
Yeah,
man.
me too.
Calling strategies, bow tuning, sure. That's cool. And then to submit, and then now it's going to just keep me updated.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Just
you
like
guys, that's going to be super cool. I'm actually really excited about that. So.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited about it.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun. What it is going to be super fun for us.
Yeah.
Who are putting all this together, because we're all just elk freaks, right? And we just enjoy it, and we enjoy sharing with people, and I think it's going to be awesome.
I like the concept of having multiple people coming together as a collective to offer this platform of all this different, advice, because, usually this is just kind of a single source in most, areas where you get this. So you're getting a collective of information of guys that actually really know what they're talking about.
Right.
And I think it's something I'm looking forward to for sure. So,
and I think I use this hashtag a lot on our Instagram, but I really believe strongly in this, that elk hunting will change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, try not to get too deep here, but it will. I mean,
get deep, man.
Some people go through life trying to find themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to find their reason why they live, why they keep going, why they try hard. Elk hunting will change your life. I mean, it gives you a reason to do everything. I mean,
yeah.
And we're gonna focus on that in the Elk Collective, because
I agree.
Life's short, man. There's only so many Septembers in a man's life, and you gotta make the most of them.
Ah, man, that you're speaking right. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, and I agree. Elk hunting will change your life, because there's nothing like elk hunting in terms of the different ways that you can approach the month of September, right?
Right.
And the different methods, the methods, the take. I didn't say meth. Who said meth? Methods.
Meth heads.
And all the meth heads that you find out there. No, just there's so many different concepts in this thing called elk hunting, and so many different approaches and strategies and things that you could do. It could create an identity for you, and like just a way of life, and it has for me for sure. Yeah. And so cool.
I can't imagine where I would be if I didn't have elk hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, or hunting in general. I mean,
I'd be like a shell of a man.
I would be a boring dude, I think. I would not be, I don't know what I would be, but
I think you'd be gender neutral.
I would be. There's all sorts of generals. There's like 37 different generals.
Yeah, they'd be one of those.
Except on a coronavirus report. There's only two.
There's only two. I'm gonna catch shit for saying that. You watch.
I know. And we're not insensitive to the folks that actually. I mean, coronavirus is a real thing, but I think it's kind of blown out of proportion.
I was talking more about the gender thing.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Oh, we won't ask.
You just added to the list. I'm going to catch shit for both of them.
I know.
Man, I can't
welcome.
win.
You're
Thanks,
welcome,
Dirk. No, that's great. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of, and I've said this to my wife. Like, if I didn't have hunting, I would be like a shell of a man.
Yeah.
I feel not that hunting is what makes me a man, but what it does is it fulfills me as a man, and it can fulfill you as a woman as well. So this is not I'm a man, so I can't speak to the woman's side of it. It fulfills me as a man, and I think that's what it does to a lot of us, especially when it's deep seated from your childhood, and you just come into this. It's what makes me tick, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah. Oh, the Bugler brand. Any updates there?
Yeah, we're still clicking along, man, making shirts and hats. Got a bunch of new hats in. The skull hats, they're pretty cool. Those things sold out really fast last time, so get them before they're gone. Bugler blades, I got a few of them left. I got the Ranger green and the black ones. The orange ones went like gangbusters. So with this whole, man, I keep saying it, coronavirus, but that really put our knife production behind. So I've got orders waiting on the orange ones still. That should be here pretty soon.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
And then and I'm going to put that, guys, in the show notes, the buglerbrand.com. I jump on there. I'm not plagiarizing your website, but I sent it to my web developer as like an example. Like it was one of the few websites I sent over there. So
did you like it? It looks cool.
No, I hate it. I think it sucks. Obviously, I just sent it over there for the hell of it.
Yeah.
But I said, don't do this. No. Check out the buglerbrand.com, and I'll put that in the show notes, guys. So we're going to have all sorts of stuff in the show notes. We're going to have the Elk Collective in there, all the social media pages, and then we are going to do a giveaway that I almost forgot to bring up, man.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my there we go. Okay, so this is going to be the Monster Calling Kit. This is from Phelp's Game Calls.
Yep.
It's got the Renegade tube, which is the tube that Dirk and I were both using during this, with the exception of the few minutes he spent on the Terminator there. 3 Maverick reeds, 1 Double D external cow call, and a call pouch, which you're wearing the call pouch right there.
Yeah.
I need one of those, man.
Check this out. And the Double D,
That's cool.
The Dirk Durham.
Double
Get
D.
your head out of the gutter.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was having images.
Yeah, you were. The Double D fits into the little elastic band on the side of the pouch.
Yeah.
That way you don't have 50 different ropes around your neck. You just got one.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, you got an extra pouch? I'll give you.
I don't have one.
I don't know. I'll give you however much they are.
I'll send you an extra one.
Okay, I need one of those. That's pretty cool.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Got me covered. Okay, so the Monster Calling Kit, guys, the Renegade Tube, 3 Maverick reeds, the Double D external cow call, and a call pouch, which that call pouch is pretty sweet. I'm like, that's why I'm bugging him to give me one.
Yeah, and it's made in the USA.
Made in the USA.
Phelp's mom or grandma sews these.
No kidding.
She makes these.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, made in the USA.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much all Phelps stuff is made in the USA.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we're going to give that away. And what I want to do, I want to get a little creative with this, is I want you guys to email me at jim@thewesternhuntsman.com and tell us your best hunting story using Phelps gear, whether it is on an elk hunt using the elk calling stuff, or you can use the turkey calls, or like we were talking about earlier, I'm using that fawn in distress call for bears. I don't care what it is. Email in and give me a story, and like keep it, a paragraph or two done. Sometimes I say this and you guys send me like 2,500 word essays.
Hey, hold on. Let's make this even better.
Okay.
To anybody's elk hunting story, right?
Yeah.
Whether they had the Phelps calls or not, because they may not know what they're missing. They
might
be,
not. That's
they
a
might
good
be
point.
Pretty satisfied with brand X.
That's a good point.
But it's like, if you drank warm water your whole life and finally had ice water, you'd be like, oh my God, where'd you been my whole life?
Yeah. Good point. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. I'm on board with that, Dirk.
Cool.
So email in jim@thewesternhuntsman.com your best story about. Should we do elk hunting since this is school September?
Yeah.
Best elk hunting story, and it's got to be creative. And I want it to make we got to kind of giggle or laugh. There's got to be some kind of humor and a twist to it or something like that. Just get creative, guys. Just send me that, and what I'll do is
pictures too.
Yeah, pictures are always
or
good.
maybe not.
Yeah, keep them clean. Send me some pictures and the story, and I will. We'll basically just draw a winner, and we've got the Monster Calling Kit. And then we'll have a second place winner for a hat and a growler. What do you think?
Yeah.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. That's a good one.
So there's first and second place.
There's a lot of contests out there. And then,
I know.
mean, it's kind of hard, It's like, like, subscribe, whatever. But
this is just telling stories.
Yeah.
This is just telling stories. I like those ones better.
Yep. Me too.
So, cool. All right, so you heard it there. And if you guys have any questions on that, just shoot me an email, jim@thewesternhuntsman.com, and I'll explain it in more detail because we're kind of shooting from the hip with this, making it up as we go along. So I'll clarify it in the intro as well. So thanks a bunch for coming on, Dirk.
Absolutely.
This has been a fun episode. It's always a good time with you.
Yeah.
You know what? You're the first true repeat podcast guest on the Western Huntsman.
I feel pretty special.
Now, I had the Pottinger boys on.
Yeah.
Once with their dad Troy, and then Jess and his friend Anthony came on to talk bass fishing after that. But full on episode, you are the first repeat podcast guest.
Wow,
so
I feel privileged.
You should feel honored.
Yeah.
I mean, honored.
You're probably going to lose some listeners now.
I always do, man. Cool. Thanks for coming on, Dirk. This has been a good time.
It's my pleasure.
And we will just be in touch. And thank you guys for tuning in. Look for all the links in the show notes. And if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. And I think that's it, right? Any closing thoughts?
Monsters are coming.
Monsters are coming. I love it, brother.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you guys later. Class dismissed. Your support and listenership is what makes this show possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave us a review at Apple Podcasts or on our Facebook page and share it with somebody else who you think would like the show too. And as always, come see us at Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at The Western Huntsman. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.